No more bullshit. No more bullshit.
President Biden is expected to pardon his son, Hunter Biden. The president's son was convicted on all 3 felony charges in June related to the purchase of a revolver in 2018 when prosecutors argued Hunter lied on a mandatory gun purchase form by saying he was not illegally using or addicted to drugs. According to NBC News, the president made the decision this weekend.
Flashback. Minutes of the full slate of guilty verdicts against Hunter Biden yesterday. Radical and repugnant reactionary Congresswoman Lauren Boebert tweeting out some very, very hard stuff, saying, quote, Hunter Biden was proven guilty. How long until dear old dad gets involved and fixes this all up for him? These are extraordinarily stiff allegations coming from Lauren Boebert, particularly since Joe Biden said himself just days ago, he's not going to get involved. He's going to respect the decision of the jury. He's not going to be pardoning his son, Hunter Biden. Take a look at this. He is on the record saying it. But these MAGA types don't care. They'll whatever they can say, which really should be applied to Trump, they will say. But listen to this from Joe Biden's weekend interview with David Muir.
As we sit here in Normandy, your son Hunter is on trial, and I know that you cannot speak about an ongoing federal prosecution. But let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
You have.
From a presidential perspective, is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
Well, is there
I just said no. I just answered. Go ahead.
Why doesn't President Biden just pardon him?
President, I've been very clear. The president's not going to pardon his
one
son.
more.
It's still a no. It's still a no.
It will always be a no.
It's still a no. It will be a no. It is a no. And I don't have anything else to add. Will he pardon his son? No. The president, I could speak for the president, and he said he would not pardon his son. And I'm just going to leave it there.
End of flashback.
CNN has learned President Biden will pardon his son, Hunter Biden. CNN Chief National Affairs Correspondent Jeff Zeleny, I believe, is with us. Jeff, can you hear me?
And Jessica, yes.
Okay. What are you learning?
Look, we are just getting a statement from President Joe Biden. He's saying that today he signed a pardon for my son, Hunter, and he goes through the reasoning why. Of course, Hunter is facing a sentencing later this month, but this is really a monumental moment for President Biden. He said several months ago in June, when he was still seeking a re-election, that he would not pardon Hunter Biden, but now we are learning he is. And let's just read through this statement quickly together. He said, today I signed a pardon for my son, Hunter. From the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision-making, and I kept my word, even as I watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted.
All right, with us now, CNN political commentator Karen Finney and CNN senior political commentator Scott Jennings. So, Karen, you just heard Democrat Greg Stanton, Democratic governor of Colorado Jared Polis. There are Democrats saying they're not happy that President Biden made this decision.
Yeah, well, tough. The president went ahead and did what he thought was right for him and to protect his son.
Because this pardon, I do not believe we have mentioned it, not just granting clemency for the crimes for which Hunter Biden was convicted of illegally purchasing a gun, of tax evasion, but also a blanket pardon for any federal crimes that may have been committed basically between 2014 and 2024.
What do you want 50 years from now, history to say about Kamala Harris?
I hope that, and I really do work, that my life will have proven to have been a life that is about fighting for the people.
The cost of that softball interview was a whopping $500,000. That is what the Harris campaign provided to Al Sharpton's nonprofit prior to her sit-down interview with Sharpton, and that's certainly raising some eyebrows. Certainly because, you know, it goes against common journalistic ethics. But nonetheless, the Harris campaign made two separate $250,000 donations to Al Sharpton's National Action Network, an anti-discrimination group, on September 5th and on October 1st, the second coming weeks before Sharpton interviewed Harris on the network. Now, Sharpton did not mention the contributions that the Harris campaign made to his nonprofit at all. There was no disclosure about it whatsoever. And as far as MSNBC goes, they told Chuck Ross at the Washington Free Beacon that they were unaware of the campaign donation. Or the donation to the nonprofit owned by Al Sharpton. Now, that could be true, I don't know, but MSNBC would not confirm whether they're considering reprimanding Sharpton, if there's gonna be any consequences for this. Now, the Society of Professional Journalists also told the Free Beacon, while Al Sharpton may not consider himself a journalist, many viewers do. When TV news broadcasters do not report their conflicts of interest or conduct their work in ways that run counter to ethical journalism, it builds distrust among their audiences and places a black eye on both their network and the profession.
Flashback. And although Oprah says she wasn't paid a cent by Harris, the campaign did pay her company $1 million to produce Oprah's star-studded town hall. Well, isn't that paying? And the Harris team reportedly spent 6 figures to build that set I told you about on that Call Her Daddy podcast, which I got her hundreds of thousands of views, but I mean, I don't know that it was cost effective. And then you got Eminem, then you got Beyonce. So let's talk to somebody who lived it, okay? And is speaking out now with her own concerns. Lindy Lee joining us now. Lindy, thank you very much for taking the opportunity.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it is good to be here. And let's start just with you for a second with this question. What are you doing talking about what happened in the campaign and absolutely putting a target on your head, let alone your back? Why would you do this?
If we don't confront reality, if we don't address these very serious issues, we're going to keep losing. And I really like what you've said, earlier in the segment. If we don't recognize that America is shifting rightward, we are going to keep losing. If we don't have a financial accountability and some sort of very serious accounting of how exactly we spent $1 billion in 2 to 3 months, how are donors and even everyday Americans who gave their $10 and $25 ever going to trust the Democratic Party again? We need a serious postmortem to show that we're learning the lessons, that we are exposing everything that went wrong, and that we are going to do better in the future. We can't just throw everything under the rug and assume that daddy's going to fill the piggy bank again.
What do you think of these allegations of what Oprah, I mean, either they paid the production company or they didn't. I've never heard of people getting paid for endorsements. Paid to perform, maybe, but usually they give it. But do you believe it?
It's not a matter of believing. It's literally in the report. And she can deny it however much she wants to, but it says Harper Productions on the FEC report. I really don't know how you get around that. It's her company, and she may not have gotten paid personally as a person, but it paid her company. So I think this is a matter of semantics. She got paid. And it's just, if my donors had known beforehand that the money would be dispersed this way, I do not think they would have given.
$900,000 to put her face on the Sphere in Las Vegas. In the Sphere, the ego, the crazy, the commissions. I was at the White House for a dinner Friday night, talking to a lot of people, and I'm telling you, man, there's a lot of whispering. There's a lot of names about who got paid this, who got paid that, and a lot of people got rich on the back of donors trying to stop Trump. And I think this disqualifies her forever. If you can't run a campaign, you can't run America. And that would be the argument just day one.
End of flashback.
Al Sharpton is the original grifter. So if you don't know, back in the days in New York, anytime there was any kind of racial conflict, this fat ass would show up in a jumpsuit. And he would demagogue against Jews, by the way, specifically, and get people super mad to the point where they nearly attacked Jewish people. And he was a menace, an absolute menace in the New York area, okay? And then all that got magically forgiven. Why did it get forgiven when that stuff never gets forgiven?
Why did it get forgiven?
Because he decided to embrace professional corruption. He was running 2-bit scams back in the day because he didn't know any better, right? But he's a smart guy, so he wisened up and he's like, oh, the way the professionals do this is they kiss the ass of the donors, they kiss the ass of the politicians, and they get the real money, the big money. And did he shake down a lot of businesses saying, hey, if you don't give me money, I'm gonna call you racist? Okay, go ahead and catch feelings. Yes, he did, okay? And do you wanna know how Comcast was allowed to merge and actually acquire NBC and MSNBC? They had a massive race problem. Al Sharpton came in and said, no, they don't have any race problem. Guess where Al Sharpton wound up? Hired by Comcast at MSNBC. Funny how that works, right? He got way better on his grift, okay? And he's been taking this kind of money his whole life, and that's why he does the softball news. That's why if you criticize Al Sharpton in the old days, people are like, God damn, yes. Now if you criticize Al Sharpton, they go, oh, well, you're being a racist, racist. No. Why? Because he's now part of the establishment. So now his new mob, the establishment cartel, protects Al Sharpton, and as he runs the scam time and time again.
Don't you fall into the trap. Democrats are full of crap.
Fox News Digital has exclusively learned that nearly a dozen of President-elect Donald Trump's cabinet nominees and other appointees tapped for the incoming administration were targeted with, quote, violent, un-American threats to their lives and those who live with them.
Emily, this is a potential national security problem, so we have reached out to the National Security Council at the White House to find out what they are tracking. We will bring you their answer once we have one. We have also been in touch with some officials down with the transition team at Mar-a-Lago. They are not willing to go any further at this time than this statement. We made a graphic so you can follow along. Last night and this morning, several of President Trump's cabinet nominees and administration appointees were targeted in violent, un-American threats to their lives and those who live with them. These attacks ranged from bomb threats to swatting. In response, law enforcement and other authorities acted quickly to ensure the safety of those who were targeted. President Trump and the entire transition team are grateful for their swift action. And just as we were coming to air, we learned who at least one of these Trump appointees, or rather Trump nominees, who received one of these threats last night. It was Elise Stefanik, who President Trump wants confirmed by the Senate to be the ambassador to the United Nations. She says, in part, in a statement, this morning, her office says, this morning, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, her husband, and their 3-year-old son were driving home to Saratoga County from Washington for Thanksgiving when they were informed of a bomb threat to their residence. She goes on to describe a pretty robust response. And we were also told that, this is Fox News Digital, that the director of the CIA nominee, John Ratcliffe, and Pete Hegseth, the DOD nominee, were among those targeted too.
You know, liberals don't shoot people. Liberals don't solve it that way.
Bullshit, 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 bullshit. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit.
Blink and you might miss them. On the windshields of hundreds of MTA buses, mounted cameras are now searching for vehicles blocking the bus lane. The cameras are powered by artificial intelligence, but driver George Hahn says the AI system isn't smart enough.
This is a normal spot, and it's actually right by the regular alternate side parking sign.
Hahn says last month he got 3 violations on the same day for blocking bus lanes on East 79th Street. But in each case, the videos captured by the bus cameras themselves show he was legally parked right here along with all these other cars.
Well, at first, I wasn't worried because I know the parking rules and these are legal spots. The tickets kept coming though, so we're up to about 10 now.
Now, a vehicle illegally parked here in the red bus lane is supposed to get a ticket. But here's the problem. That bus lane ends right about here, and these vehicles are parked in legal alternate side spots. And many of the drivers say they're still getting tickets.
They could clearly see on the picture that I'm literally before the line.
You were legal.
I was legally parked. Jonathan Coogee gave us his violation notice, and it also shows his car was not parked in the bus lane. And the I-Team has learned hundreds of other drivers have been served similar mistakes. We showed these images to the MTA, and the transit agency confirmed buses on the M79 and BX35 lines have issued nearly 3,000 violations that should have been simple warnings, and more than 800 violations where there was no infraction at all.
Now, who's calling me a liar, you or the machine? Because I want to know whose ass to kick.
A source familiar with the matter says the cameras that issued those 3,000 plus erroneous violations were operated by a company called Hayden AI, which inked an $83 million deal with the MTA to install the first round of onboard cameras. Hayden AI declined to answer the I-Team's questions, referring us back to the MTA.
I heard what you're saying about X. I saw a survey this week. It's now the most ideologically balanced user platform
Scott,
of any platform.
stop. It's too early. I just sat down. I've only been here for 2 minutes.
You're going to be embarrassed
cannot
when
continue
I tweet
to
out
say
after the show, but
you
it's
cannot
true.
say that.
So,
That's not the case.
So
Who's the source of that?
What I find, we reported it on this network.
It's not accurate, and you know it.
Look at this. The party ID among those who regularly use X/Twitter for news. Back in 2022, 65% of those who regularly use Twitter/X for news were Democrats. Just 31% were Republicans. Look at where we are today. Just a completely different picture. Now it's basically split between Democrats at 48%, Republicans at 47%. And what I should note, Mr. Berman, is this new overall makeup matches the overall electorate.
What a bunch of dumbasses.
Yeah, really. It was day in the life TikTok videos like this that racked up millions of views for stay-at-home mom influencer Marlena Velez. This video of a trip to Hermes has almost 2 million views and 300,000 likes. But it was this now deleted video of a Target run that led to her arrest and social media notoriety. Police in Cape Coral, Florida say what looked like an average Target haul was actually video proof of Velez's connection to a shoplifting case they were trying to crack. Last week, police posted this surveillance photo asking the public for help identifying a suspect they say scanned false barcodes at self-checkout, ringing up 16 items at cheaper prices and walking out with goods valued at $500. Police sharing their own social media video of what happened next.
We actually had one person reach out on Instagram and say, hey, I want to remain anonymous, but here's their name and date of birth and their Instagram handle. So from there, we were able to look up her social media and even find on TikTok, she posted a video that day of herself going to Target, buying these items, and then taking them home with her.
Velez now faces one charge of theft and is out on bond.
Radical ideas to counter the Trump administration appear to be gaining traction among some Democrats. One New York state senator is even floating the idea of having New York withhold federal taxes and then the Empire State seceding to join Canada.
That is exactly what Manhattan liberal Democrat State Senator Liz Krueger is proposing, that the Empire State and fellow blue northeastern states leave the U.S. and join Canada to protest Trump's plan. She said this back in September before the election, quote, instead of us all trying to illegally cross the border at night without them noticing, which is pretty hard because there's lots of us, that they should instead agree to let us be the Southeast province, a new province of Canada. New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont would combine and be a great new province as the Southeast province of Canada. Basically, everybody in these states are progressive Democrats who would fit in pretty well with the political philosophy of at least most of the Canadian elected officials.
There's about as much chance of that as a pink unicorn leading the Thanksgiving Day parade tomorrow.
Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg had a private meeting with the president-elect today at Mar-a-Lago. This was just confirmed by Trump aide Stephen Miller. Now, Zuckerberg did not endorse either candidate during the election, but did tell Bloomberg in an interview that Trump standing up and pumping his fist, telling crowds to fight, fight, fight,
is
one of the most badass things I've ever seen in my life.
Congressman, is the Democratic Party losing Silicon Valley? It really does seem like more and more Silicon Valley executives and insiders are at least going out of their way to, if not meet with the president, at least President-elect praise him.
Like, I think if Kamala Harris had won the election, Mark Zuckerberg would be going to pay homage to her too.
Where do you come up with this shit?
Well, looks like the Silicon Valley billionaires just keep on walking through Mar-a-Lago. Tonight, it was Mark Zuckerberg's turn. The Meta CEO went down there to meet with President-elect Donald Trump. A Meta spokesperson confirmed it, said it was Trump who invited Zuckerberg, and that Zuckerberg was, quote, grateful for the meeting.
Well, as Trump and RFK Jr. are ready for a crackdown on ultra-processed foods, the maker of Twinkies doesn't appear too concerned. Their CEO saying, quote, we believe very strongly that snacking continues. Consumers are going to continue to look for a way to reward themselves at different times throughout the day, and only acknowledges they could, quote, look at reducing sugar. Co-founder of TrueMed and the co-author of Good Energy, Callie Means, joins us now. Welcome, Callie.
Hey,
so
Rachel.
much of what you've been fighting for looks like it's about to happen. You say that we are on the verge of entering into a golden age for American health. I want to first I want you to look at the ingredients that are concerning about Twinkies, and then tell me what you think. So it's high fructose corn syrup, yellow 5 dye, and red 40 dye. Why should we be concerned about those ingredients in Twinkies?
All right, then let me warm that up for you. Thank you. All right, there you go. Thanks. Excuse me. And the French toast will be up in just a minute.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great.
Oh, you nasty.
And now for something completely different.
Have you ever wanted to be a sluttier man? Do you feel like you could be having more sex, more casual sex, more non-strings attached sex, maybe just more sex with a partner or partners that you already have? Well, today we are going to give you a step-by-step guide to being a man whore without being an asshole.
Tell me more, tell me more.
And for this, I have invited my friend, Billy Procida from the Manwhore podcast. Hi, Billy. Welcome.
Hello, Caitlin.
I'm so glad that you're here.
I'm so happy to be here.
Do you identify as slutty?
Yes.
Okay.
I like that word a lot more. It's very fun. It's cutesy. Slut.
And did you, it actually.
Man-whore goes down. Man-whore.
4 letters, 1 syllable, says it all. Yeah, man-whore is very, I don't know, grandiose.
It's very aggressive.
Yeah, whereas
slut is playful.
Slut is like, I don't know, you could name a cat slut. It would work.
Yo, what's up, baby? What's up, sluts? Oh, hell no!
We are following a breaking news alert this Sunday morning as it relates to Venezuelan gangs. It's probably not the first time you've heard about the concern as it relates to Venezuelan gangs and, of course, border security.
Flashback.
This is a story you will only see on 9. FBI says a Venezuelan gang called Tren de Aragua has made its way to the borderland.
Yeah, that's right. This rapidly expanding gang has spread throughout South America and now into our communities, posing a threat to borderland families. Our Oriana Batoro reports.
The fastest growing transnational criminal organization known as the Tren de Aragua is a Venezuelan gang that has now infiltrated its way into the United States through various sectors of the U.S.-Mexico border.
That here in El Paso, Tren de Aragua gang members who are identified are put into prosecution pathways for 1325 illegal entry into the United States.
According to a CNN report from Border Patrol, 38 suspected members from the Tren de Aragua have been arrested between 2022 and 2023.
When they come to a new place, they do it oftentimes through immigrant pathways, taking advantage of people from within their own community.
Tren de Aragua is taking advantage of the mass Venezuelan exodus to make their way into the country, and now they are ramping up crime in U.S. cities like Miami and Chicago.
They typically operate mostly on migrant smuggling and human trafficking. Those are their two big criminal enterprises.
Yeah, good morning, Wanye. Videos have gone viral this week showing a group of males carrying guns in an apartment complex. Now, this is one of several buildings at the center of concern. Aurora police saying earlier this week, quote, APD has been increasingly collecting evidence to show the gang is connected to crimes in the area. They shared this video last night of officers looking into claims at the edge of Lowry Apartments. APD's interim police chief Heather Morris says gang members have not taken over the complex, and they're reassuring the community they are investigating criminal activity.
We are actively investigating criminal activity that's happening and listening to them to so that we can learn anything that we're missing. You know, what are we missing, and actually find out what exactly is going on.
Governor Jared Polis spoke with CNN, saying the state is ready to step in at a moment's notice in Aurora if needed, and adding that the state takes these kinds of threats very seriously. But he says Aurora officials have not raised that alarm.
So all we await is a call from Aurora saying there's any building in the control of any gang, and we are ready to help take it back. That call has not happened because Aurora Police does not currently believe, or they haven't told us, that there's any buildings in control of gangs.
All right, everyone, welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. We'll take a look at this really disturbing video. It has been making the rounds, going viral. This is out in Aurora, Colorado, and it's one that is making headlines, of course, all over the country, where the mayor of Aurora says Venezuelan gangs are overrunning apartment buildings there as part of an organized criminal effort. Local police have called the incidents isolated, but surveillance video from at least one of the complexes is very startling, as you can see from this video right here.
Danielle Jurinsky is a city council member in Aurora, and she joins me now. Danielle, a spokesperson for the governor of Colorado, Jared Polis, he's dismissing you. They say this is all a figment of your imagination. Would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, I just would ask him, is this also a figment of the Romero's imagination and all of the other folks that I've spoken to at these complexes and that I've physically moved out? This is one heck of an imagination.
I'm going to stop you. The incidents were limited to a handful of apartment complexes, and the mayor said our dedicated police officers have acted on those concerns. A handful of problems.
Only, Martha, do you hear yourself? Only a handful of apartment complexes in America were taken over by Venezuelan gangs.
End of flashback.
So Venezuelan gang members moving into Chicago have caught the attention of the city's local counterparts, bringing tensions to an all-time high. Our next guest is a former gang member who now runs a violence prevention program and warns that the city may go up in flames, fearing an all-out turf war. Tyrone Muhammad is the founder and CEO of Ex-Cons for Community and Social Change, and he's been kind enough to join us. Now, Tyrone, thanks so much for joining the program. You got the gangs that are coming in now. Tren de Aragua is now fighting with the local gangs, and this is on top of an already problem right now. You got robbery that's up 12%, aggravated battery is up 13%, murder vehicle theft is up 43%, and you inviting them in to go against now the local gangs already in Chicago. Explain to us what's happening on the ground.
So let me just say this. We just heard about a vice president who said she specialized in locking up and arresting transnational gangs, while the very party that she's a part of, the policies with the sanctuary cities and the border crisis she support. And now the influx of it is, which is oxymoronic at the same time. Now we have to fight transnational gangs and the influx of these men who we don't know where they come, what crimes they committed, and the violence that they've been involved with thus far. With that being said, we're on the front line every day, making sure that our communities are safe. And it's really not about the black community. This is just the beginning, because violence anywhere is violence everywhere. America should be afraid that this can happen in American cities, one of the biggest cities, one of the biggest tourist attracting cities in the country, that we can watch this happen all over the country and not be outraged.
In Operation Crime and Justice, a member of the violent Venezuelan gang, TDA, now operating in Tennessee, charged in connection with a human trafficking operation in Chattanooga.
Fox 17 News' Kylie Walker joining us live from the state capitol with more on Tren de Agua and the governor's reaction to this arrest. Kylie?
Earlier this month, the TBI warned of the growing TDA gang in major Tennessee cities. So after this arrest, I wanted to dig more into the potential impacts this could have on Nashville. The man arrested in Chattanooga is Adelvis Rodriguez Carmona. He's a known member of Tren de Aragua with a history of violent crimes in Chicago and New York City.
TBI has determined and discovered and has enough intelligence to know where these folks are operating and are beginning to make arrests. We hope that they can finish that job.
Governor Lee believes there will be more positive changes with a new administration next year. In the meantime, the TBI has asked for more money to tackle these issues in 2025.
Police are trying to tackle the rapidly escalating violent crime among Venezuelan gang members in the city who have gotten into New York.
Fox 8's Linda Schmidt talked to the NYPD, who says this crime wave is one of their greatest challenges. She joins us live from the newsroom now. Linda, what can you tell us tonight?
Well, you know, basically what you just said right there, this is one of the NYPD's biggest challenges right now. Now, the NYPD expects the migrant Venezuelan gang crimes to actually get worse in this city before it gets better.
They're waving the guns around.
Correct.
Waving guns and flashing gang signs on this video. The NYPD says these are suspected members of the ruthless Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, which has been infiltrating the U.S. for the last 2 years. NYPD Assistant Chief of Detectives Jason Savino telling me it is believed this video was made while the gang members were in Ecuador, and its purpose is to recruit new members.
Then, when you fast forward, you see the same individuals where? In Times Square. So that's our concern.
The NYPD says Tren de Aragua has been making it over the border with the migrant influx and is getting established in New York.
What we do see is they are trying to grow.
The gang has gone from petty crimes like shoplifting and stealing cell phones and jewelry to all-out shootouts in the streets. Alleged gang member Bernardo Raul Mata recently confessing to police that gang members are being instructed to shoot police officers. Mata is charged with shooting 2 officers after they stopped him for riding a moped the wrong way on a one-way street in Queens. In court, an assistant district attorney revealing what Mata told investigators about the gang. Tren de Aragua members are smuggling firearms into city shelters inside food delivery packages. That way they don't have to go through the metal detector. Guns being smuggled into migrant shelters in food delivery packages that are not being screened. The gang violence is escalating, and now drugs are coming into the picture.
We're just starting to see a drug called Tusi, which is a pink cocaine type substance.
It seems like this is a huge challenge.
It's as big of a challenge as we face.
Is that it?
No, there's more.
Suspected members of a violent Venezuelan gang considered more powerful than police in South America have reportedly arrived. Our Tom Rousey investigated and finds out what they're accused of already doing here in Tysons.
Back in summer 2023, 3 men allegedly came here to the Tysons Galleria and committed grand larceny by stealing from some of the high-end stores. Now, that wouldn't normally make the news, but it is now making the news because of what we've recently learned about those 3 suspects and their alleged ties to a violent Venezuelan gang. According to court records, these 3 men in their 20s came down from New York and were captured by Fairfax County Police with $9,000 of stolen merchandise in their car. Court records list a witness at the Neiman Marcus at the Tysons Galleria, as well as another witness at the Gucci store at that same high-end mall. Those witnesses were there as the men allegedly committed grand larceny. Tuesday, Fairfax County Police Chief Kevin Davis said on 7 News, the men have suspected ties to a violent Venezuelan gang named TDA for Tren de Aragua.
They weren't necessarily committing traditional gang-related crimes, extortion, aggravated assault, robberies, but they were stealing.
Tren de Aragua operated out of this Venezuelan prison for years. The gang basically ran things to the point where it installed a swimming pool and even restaurants at the prison. The gang is considered more powerful than police in Venezuela, and it has made its way to the United States, where alleged members have committed violence, such as shooting at police officers in New York City.
Tonight, Sweetwater police say that a possible member of a violent Venezuelan gang is behind bars after an incident at Dolphin Mall. The arrest happened on Friday.
Yeah, NBC6's Amy Viteri shows us how officers identified the man as a possible member of the violent gang Tren de Aragua.
That 20-year-old man is in jail here Monday evening, and police tell us he will stay here. That's not just because of the charges he's currently facing, but also due to an immigration hold. And investigators tell us it was the man's tattoos that helped them identify him as a possible member of that gang.
Abraham de Jesus Manwhore Bracho appeared before a judge over the weekend.
Count 2 is battery on a police officer.
Accused of stealing and pushing a police officer before being taken into custody Friday evening at Dolphin Mall, after another man reported he and 2 others were trying to beat him up.
He fled on foot from the officers. One of them tried to detain him. He pushed them.
Police say once in custody, they found Manwhore Bracho with 2 bags of Nike merchandise without a receipt, valued at over $1,100. But officers also noticed the 20-year-old's body art.
It was a tattoo that caught their attention.
They say these images from his arm, specifically this one depicting a clock with a rose, are associated with the Venezuelan street gang Tren de Aragua, or TDA for short.
Once he saw that and he saw that that was an identifier, he asked them, and he of course claimed that he is not affiliated with it, that he just likes the tattoo, and that's why he has it on.
But police say federal immigration and customs enforcement agents also wanted to speak to Manwhore Bracho.
We learned from them that people don't get these tattoos just because they look nice, because nobody wants to be affiliated with them.
Police say agents told them he was supposed to be in Chicago, but had removed an ankle monitor issued by U.S. Customs and Immigration Enforcement when he entered the country.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
You've disconnected from the hive mind. Explain.